right? So that's why all of your goals, you have to think about, is this relevant to me achieving the big picture, right? You got to think about it. Even getting your job, that's not even your big picture goal. The job is really a small, minor goal on top of the big picture. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode on the Life is Huncho YouTube channel. It's your host, the one and only Mr. Huncho, on the mic today, man. And let's go ahead and let's hop right into it. By the title, you can see this video is going to show you how to accomplish all. And I don't mean any, I don't mean some, I don't mean a few, I mean all of your goals, right? I'm going to provide you a system, a bulletproof system that's going to be able to help you go from 0 to hero, right? Now, it's not going to be overnight, but if you implement this system, any goal that you want to achieve following this blueprint, you'll be able to achieve it, right? Now, some of you might ask, why should I listen to this guy, right? You should listen to me because I said so, right? But plain and simple, you should listen to me because I said so. Reason being is because I've been able to accomplish a lot of my goals within a short period of time using this system, right? And I'm a person, I do believe that system works better than anything, right? Because system, right, S-Y-S-T-E-M, I hope I spelled that correctly, stands for save yourself time, energy, and money, right? When you have a system in place, it helps you not only, like I say, save your time, save your money, save your energy, because you get farther ahead because you have something that not only can you reproduce it multiple times so you can duplicate it, you can show someone else, but if, let's say something changes, right, or you don't achieve a particular goal, you're able to kind of go back and see what did you do different from that time to this time? How did your system deviate or change from then? That's why I do believe that system works, and I'm going to give you guys a bulletproof system on how to achieve your goal. And now step one in achieving your goals, you see I have my handy dandy whiteboard with me here. Now, please leave my whiteboard alone. It's due for an upgrade. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I can upgrade my whiteboard within the next couple of months. But anyways, so the first thing that you need to do when achieving your goal is you need to identify what is the goal, right? What is the goal? Is the goal to make more money? Is the goal to achieve a specific position in your company or in your career? Is the goal to travel to a certain amount of destinations within a period of time, right? Is your goal to get into a fruitful and prosperous relationship, right? Is your goal to get a car? Is your goal to get an apartment, right? You first need to identify what the actual goal is. If you don't know where you're going, you're gonna end up somewhere that you never meant to be, right? That's why before you leave your house and you have a GPS, you put the address of the destination that you wanna go to, right? You're not gonna know how to get there if you don't know where you're trying to get. So you first have to identify what is that goal. Write it down, right? Write it down and make it very simple and plain. The simpler you make the goal, the easier, right? Because the more complex, right, that you become, you start feeling overwhelmed, you start feeling like this goal is beyond your achievement, right? No, make it very simple. I want to make this X amount of dollars. I want to get this position and have this amount of money in my bank account, or I want to get this position and this be my pay rate, right, for that particular position. You want to make it as simple as possible. And the reason why is because after you identify what your goal is, right, you want to identify why do you want to achieve this goal, right? And this is very, 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 very important. Identifying why you want to achieve the goal, right? When people say, what is your why? They literally mean that literally, right? Like, why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you go to work? Why am I making this YouTube video? Like, why do you go to the gym, right? Like, why do you go approach that girl at the club? Why are you doing any of the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? You got to actually start being conscious and start thinking about that. Because if you don't have a why, if you don't have a strong why, if you don't have a strong reason for what you're doing and why you're doing it, the moment things get tougher, the moment things become more complex, you're going to be more willing to quit and give up on that if you don't really understand what your why is. That's why you want to keep the what as simple as possible, because this is where all shit and all hell breaks loose. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to get to the next step, but really why? Because people do things without intention. And if you don't do things without intention, right, you end up being misdirected through distractions. You see what I'm saying? Right? Are you following me here? If you say, oh, I want to get a specific position at my job, when you go to the interview, the recruiter is going to ask you, why do you want to work here? If you never had time to think about it, you're going to draw a blank and you're going to mess up your shots, right? So if you start thinking about why, you start developing reasons, also known as motivation, to achieve your goals, okay? Motivation is very important, right? Because without motivation, you'll never get moving, right? Motivation, motion. You actually have to start moving. But motivation isn't enough to get you to where you want to be. You have to have consistency and dedication. Dedication, right? Motivation is in the moment. Dedication is for decades. If it's hard to see, feel free to zoom in a little bit. I'll move the camera up just so it's a little bit easier. But feel free to zoom in on the video. You could do it on YouTube. You could just kind of like zoom in a little bit. All right. You got to have that dedication, because things are going to go south, right? Things are going to go south in step 3. Step 3 is understanding how you're going to achieve this goal. Okay? The what, the why, and the how. This is where you want to be. Okay? This is the start. This is where we're all trying to get to. Right? This is where everyone is trying to get to. The start. And this is most of the time where people believe their biggest problem is figuring out how. But in reality, it's not. Your biggest problem is why and what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? These are really the where people actually start setting themselves up for failure before they figure out how to get there. They haven't clearly identified their goal, and they haven't clearly identified why they're doing it. You see what I'm saying? Let's say your goal is to fix your credit. If you haven't identified why you want to fix your credit, because you took out a car note, you defaulted on it, right? Or you got evicted, whoop-de-whoop, your credit is low, and now you're trying to get an apartment, right? That's why you're doing it. So once you understand why you're doing it and what you're doing, now the how becomes easy. You can actually work backwards to the how, right? Let's say I want to get a new job, new position, right? New job. You have to ask yourself, what are the things this job is going to require, right? The what? What are the things in the job? Some skills, right? Some know-how, right? Knowing how to do the job. What else? The opportunity. Listen, hey, don't chill on my spelling. I dropped out of college, okay? I make a lot of money, but I still dropped out of college. So as you can clearly see, you don't need to be that smart to learn how to achieve your goals, right? You really don't. But the opportunity, the skills, the know-how, okay? You could maybe put in experience, or you could put in being in the environment, right? Okay? So then once you know, right, this is the goal, and these are the things that you're going to be required, then you could ask, okay, what do I need to do to achieve these things that will help me achieve my inevitable goal? And what this inevitable goal is known as a chief aim, okay? For my ones who know, they know this is a chief aim. This is your main target, right? This is your objective. But anybody who plays video games, right, or anybody who's done anything extraordinary in life, you realize that it's not just from the bottom and you just leap to the top, right? It doesn't work that way. You actually have to go through a series of missions, right? Trials and tribulations. These are known as small targets. Small targets. Okay? I'll give you a perfect example. I work in technology, right? Before I worked in technology, I worked in sales. For me to make a shift from sales to technology, I had to develop skills. I had to develop a know-how, right? So a small target could be getting certified, getting a specific certification. Okay? Right? Small targets. These are also goals though. These targets are also goals. They're just not as big as your chief aim. These are, you can say, minor goals, right? Right? So you have small targets along the way on your journey, right? Small targets that you have to achieve before you can get here. But as you're achieving these goals, right? And you're developing thought process, you're developing tactics, you're developing methods on how to achieve it, you have these things that pop up in your life called positive coincidences. I'm going to spend more time trying to fix my spelling than actually teach you guys. So just pretend like that says coincidences, okay? So you're going to have positive coincidences that are going to happen along your way to your goal. These positive coincidences could be you bumped into someone at Walmart who works in the field that you're trying to get into. You're trying to get stronger in the gym. You bump into someone who has the physical physique that you're looking for, so you ask them some tips, some advice, right? Once you identify what your goal is, why you're doing it, and then you start coming up with plans, with ideas, with strategies on how to get it, this is when the positive coincidence come into your life, right? Let's say you're trying to get a girlfriend, right? You bump into a friend, an old school friend at a party, right? You guys start following each other on Instagram, come to find out that friend is friends with an amazing woman that you like. You get close with the friend, you say, hey, is she single? He gets you guys connected, boom. Now you achieved one of your goals. You have a girlfriend, you have somebody that you love and admire and care for. But you would have never thought of becoming friends with that guy or asking him about it if you did not identify what the goal is. What is the mission? What is the objective? If you're in the military and your lieutenant gives you an assignment, he doesn't just say, hey, this is our bad guy, this is the location, here you go. He tells you what the objective is, he tells you why we're doing it, and he's gonna tell you how. We're going to bomb this place to smithereens and hopefully we hit our target. You see what I'm saying? So, this system that you implement here is going to be able to help you achieve your goals. One last thing that you want to add on top of this is you want to have SMART goals, right? You want to have SMART goals, goals that are worth achieving. It makes no sense to try and bust your behind for $1 more at a job. It makes no sense. It's better you go get another job, right? Now, $5, $10, $15, that makes sense. So your SMART goal has to be something specific, okay? It has to be specific, right? That goes into the what. It has to be measurable, meaning you have to be able to track your goal. Like, how close are you to getting here, right? That's why these positive coincidences are so important, because as they happen in your life, you can check off that, hey, I'm getting closer to my goal, right? Let's say your goal is to save $10,000. By the time you get to 7K, you can literally measure and track that you're only $3,000 away from your goal. And then you want to have achievable goals. It has to be a goal that you can actually accomplish, right? Makes no sense for us to just say all these nice things if we know for a fact we can't do it, right? It makes no sense to try and say you want to become a basketball player if at the end of the day, you have no basketball skills ever and you're in your 30s. That does not make no sense, right? Okay. So now that we understand that it's achievable, it has to be relevant. Oh my God, relevant. Man, I need to go back. Finish school. It needs to be a relevant goal, okay? It has to be important. It has to be something that you can say that something that aligns with the bigger objective, right? Because you're going to have these little smaller minor goals along your way, right? And as positive coincidences happen in your life, you want to make sure that you're on track, right? So that's why all of your goals, you have to think about, is this relevant to me achieving the big picture, right? You got to think about it. Even getting your job, that's not even your big picture goal. The job is really a small, minor goal on top of the big picture. The big picture could be financial freedom. The big picture could be buying a house. The big picture could be retiring your family or retiring your significant other so they don't have to work, right? The big picture, what is the big picture? I want to become president. Well, before you become president, you got to become a congressman. So congressman is the goal first, but the presidency is the big picture. And then last but not least, it has to be time bound, right? You have to put a date on it, right? We have to actually start moving with some urgency, right? We have to understand that time is the mother of all skills. No, they say repetition is the mother of all skills. Time is the enemy of those who are lazy. It's the friend of those who are diligent, right? So it has to be time bound, right? You want to put a specific time, a date on it. And when you do that, not only does that give you something for you to work towards, it gives you a little bit of pressure, right? Not too much pressure. And you want that time bound to make sense. You can't say, oh, you want to become a millionaire by the end of the year when you got maybe like $100 in your bank account. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. But you have to think, what do I need to do to go from $100 to $1 million? You probably need to do a lot of stuff. You feel me? So the time has to make sense. If you say I want to be a millionaire in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, that makes a lot of sense. And it's actually achievable, right? It's actually achievable. So, and you can measure it. So with that being said, implementing this system, I guarantee you're going to be able to achieve all of your goals. Now, again, it's not going to happen overnight, just implementing the system, because you have to go through all these small, minor goals first. You have to have a couple of positive coincidences come into your life to help propel you and push you toward your objective. You feel me? So start implementing this system in what you do, right? Start now. Take some time, write down what your goals are for 2026, right? We're a couple of months until the end of the year. I know you guys have a lot of goals that you want to achieve. One of my goals was to get another apartment. As you can see, the setup is different because we was able to achieve that. And I use this system that I just taught you guys. So please, 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 right? Wisdom is given to those who learn from other people and they implement it into their life. That's what wisdom is. And with that being said, if you like this kind of content and you want more of it, then click right here to watch my latest video. Click right here to see a video that YouTube personally recommended just for you. And until the next episode, I'm your host, Hugh Huncho, and I'm out.